defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're doing well and safe. Good morning to you lot. As you can see, it's dressing gown settings. Now, as I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Apparently, Ian Wright has said something, people. Let's see exactly what he said. Now, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. Let's get straight into it. I hope it's not clickbait, and I hope it's something that's promising. But allegedly, Ian Wright is alleged to have said they're very confident. Ian Wright makes Arsenal transfer claim after meeting with Edu. Arsenal legend, and you can never underestimate how much of a legend Ian Wright is, has made a big transfer claim following a recent meeting with club chief Edu and manager Mikel Arteta. It seems the Gunners could have a big summer ahead of them, with Arteta's side now set to be able to offer Champions League football and an ambitious project to some big-name players. It remains to be seen precisely who Arsenal will try to bring in, but Ian Wright seems to believe that Edu, who is now taking a lot of calls from reps of players who are eager to make the move to the Emirates Stadium. The Daily Mirror have strongly linked West Ham midfielder Declan Rice as one big name on Arsenal's radar. If they can pull off a signing of that caliber, it would be huge for their prospects next season. We'll have to see if that particular move comes off, but even if it doesn't, there will surely be another exciting alternative, judging by Ian Wright's comments to Alan Shearer, in a recent interview with The Athletic. Allegedly, he is said, the Arsenal legend is alleged to have said in reference to Edu and our transfer plans, I went to the training ground the other day and I was with Edu and Mikel, and what's happening now at the club is we're not having to go and cajole, I cannot say that, cajole other people to come and join Arsenal. So I'm just going to interpret that word as convince people. They can see what we're doing. Edu is saying his phone is ringing off the hook, and they're very confident about the caliber of players they're going to sign. If you're going to challenge the City team, you're going to have to come correct. You're going to have to come correct. So hopefully we can get a couple of midfield additions. I would like a right back, more physical number 9 wouldn't go amiss, or a wide man left back to go with what Tierney's going on. Respect to Holding, because he's not been nearly as bad as people make out, but there's evident shortcomings, and the level drop off is too great with Saliba's absence. And if we're going to be a team competing on multiple fronts, playing a lot of games, and if some of these players not just playing a lot of club football, playing a lot of international football as well throughout the fixture calendar list, we're going to need more than just 3 good centre backs in. 2 good centre backs essentially in Gabriel and obviously Saliba. Obviously, you've got Tomiyasu and Benjamin White who can be moved over there. I do think at some point in his Arsenal career, Benjamin White will be looked at as a right-sided centre back option, but right now he's a fullback. Tomiyasu's got injury record issues. If we can sign another centre back into that mix, a right-sided one that can just come in, and if he doesn't boost up the level of the Arsenal team, at least it doesn't drop to a certain level, kind of like Tierney and Tomiyasu, who, well, you could argue, in an attacking sense, we drop off a level, but they were our first choice fullbacks once upon a time. They're not now, and currently they can step in when required, if and when Arteta wants, and if and when fit in Tomiyasu's case. So I don't know what to make of that. The headline wasn't quite as good as what Ian Wright is alleged to have said. I don't think Ian Wright was trying to rile up anyone or convince us that crazy things are happening. I think the media's just done us over there. Moving away from it, people, as you know, we've got a busy summer. Balogun could leave, Patino could leave. There's Cedric, Pepe, Maitland-Niles. We don't know what's going on with Reece Nelson. There's a lot of things to do in terms of renewing contracts, incomings and outgoings. Allegedly, with Monza staying in Serie A, Pablo Mari is set to join them permanently. Arsenal set to sell Pablo Mari for $6 million as Monza avoids Serie A relegation, people. Big up the 29-year-old. Obviously, he was unfortunately a stab victim during his time in Italy, but he's managed to play his own part in allowing and helping his team to stay up in their division. Apparently, the 29-year-old initially joined Monza on loan last August and has been a regular for the Italian club this season. Arsenal included a compulsory purchase option in their loan agreement with Monza, which would see Mari's move made permanent for €7 million, £6.1 million, if the club avoided relegation from the Serie A. Apparently, Monza's 2-0 win over Spezia, Chirio's last club, ironically another left-sided centre-back, on Friday secured their place in the Italian top flight for next season, with 6 fixtures remaining, meaning Arsenal are now in line to receive a £6 million windfall ahead of the summer transfer market. As you know, we signed Mari initially on loan, which was probably for a couple of million. We signed him for 6.8 million quid. It didn't work out. Obviously, we've made a deficit, but we just need to get players off the wage bill, really and truly. It hasn't worked out for Mari. So yeah, people. I completely forgot he went to Udinese on loan. Did he? So that's his second spell in loan, on loan. So in Italy. So yeah, big up Mari. Hopefully you could, you have a great future there and whatever they're doing. Charlie Patino has allegedly come out and said he wants. Well, he's not come out. He's come out of the David Ornstein via the Athletic that he wants to leave Arsenal in search of more permanent, regular football on a consistent basis and has no interest of going out again on loan. Fabrizio Romano has said Charlie has decided he wants to leave Arsenal permanently this summer and try a new challenge. There's strong interest from many clubs in England and elsewhere who are prepared to invest on him. Arsenal have many important players in the squad and will sign more this summer, including in midfield. So Patino doesn't see any sense in going out on loan again and simply wants a new experience. Fair enough. The same things that saw the 11-year-old guy leave Luton and join Arsenal, the same reasons he wants to probably leave Arsenal, take the next step in his career, and he's got to be selfish. For Arsenal, we want all the best players here. We'd love for Patino to develop. I do think the pathways would have opened up once upon a time, but at the end of the day, maybe he wants more stability rather than going out on loan and not knowing where you stand. Maybe Arteta hasn't exactly given a lot of Haaland products their debut, so maybe the manager isn't exactly keen on young players. We know he is because he's perfected and enhanced a number of young players. And obviously, as the article just said, or the short paragraph, there's a lot of competition in midfield. Whatever you think about Xhaka, several years more experienced than Patino, an international footballer. Jorginho, a Ballon d'Or nominee, won a whole bunch of trophies with Chelsea and has won something for Italy. Lokonga cost 17, 18, 19, 20 million. Obviously, Onene has signed a new deal. Thomas Partey cost 45 million and is in the international as well. They're all going to play ahead of you. Naturally, within the next 1 to 18 to 2 years, you would think gaps would open in the squad, but you can't go against it. Apparently, one thing to watch could be a buyback clause, which will be discussed. I mean, if we can get a sell-on clause and a buyback clause, and Charlie develops and becomes the player we know he's got the potential to be, then everyone's a winner. He comes back a more rounded player. But I do like the fact that he wants to try a new experience. People, not quite sure what's being said here. The Gunners appreciate Patino. Is a highly talented youngster and will hope to command a good fee for him. It is thought that a buyback clause could also possibly play a part. And I think the good thing is if he's leaving, he's, unfortunately Blackpool have been relegated, but he's got to showcase his talents in the Championship. And actually, for someone I wouldn't describe as a physical player, has not shied away from the physical aspect. Of course, there's been good and bad moments, but my point to say that is to say at least when, he's shown he can do it in the men's game to some degree, we should be getting more money. Keeping up the theme with Haaland and the youngsters, Romano has also said Balogun's agents will talk to Arsenal at the end of the season with plenty of interest in him after his superb form on loan at Reims. Arsenal need to decide if they want to loan him out again or cash in on him with a permanent sale, so he'll be one to watch as well this summer. Like Patino, he's contracted until 2025, so we're approaching a pivotal moment in his career. Obviously, if he goes out on loan again and returns in summer 2024, again, assuming he had this season he had now, we probably will be in a position of weakness. I don't know if there's an option to extend his contract, but he'll have a year left. But assets, I want the impossible dream of 11 starters coming through Haaland, a 20-odd man squad with the nucleus of Haaland. It's not realistic. So, if players can progress to the first team in Saka, Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, and Eddie's case to some degree, and Joe Willock, great. If they can be like Joe Willock and we stay here for a minute, develop, be sold on, create some memories and be sold on for great money and establishing themselves in the Premier League. Joe Willock's doing well for Newcastle. I think they will be scored yesterday for Everton. I could be wrong. That's what we need to do, and not everyone can make it. It'd be a shame not to see Patino and Balogun get a chance, but this will happen to youngsters several years below them, and it will happen time and time again. Not everyone can make it, and it's almost an impossible task breaking in at a top six club, really and truly. So we'll have to watch that. Again, keeping up the theme with Haaland youngsters, people. One that plays in Valencia, Romano has said, I've mentioned Arsenal and Chelsea's interest in Musa, and it's the case they're following Musa since January. Inter as well. At the moment, it's just scouting and not advanced, but Musa has good chances to move this summer. Dharma Chef on Declan Rice has said, we know that Arsenal want to bring in a central midfielder, and we know that Declan is someone that they're very, very interested in. So you expect them to go back in and test the resolve of West Ham United with a big bid and see if they can bring someone like him to the football club. Would he have improved them previously? Yes, but I think it's by the by, because I don't think it would have been a realistic option for them to sign him in either of the last two windows. So we'll have to see. But he's someone that's, you know, a number of clubs are going to be interested. Fabrizio Romano has also spoken on Emile Smith Rowe. Despite some speculation over his future, I'm sure Arsenal trust Emile Smith Rowe for the present and the future. Mikel Arteta and the people in the board always trusted Emile. He's not playing so much at the moment, but it's also fair to say that he returned after an injury, and the starting 11 is very clear this season, so it's not easy to break into the team in these conditions. I'm sure the parties will speak at the end of the season to decide on the next steps, but Arsenal trust Emile for sure. Now, anything can happen. Smith Rowe could say, do you know what? I want to leave. I want to play on a more regular basis. Maybe Arsenal say, you know what? You've had a big injury, go out on loan again in the Premier League and come back next season. And you know, it is what it is. I'm not being funny, but if we're going to be a big club and mirror what City are doing, then someone's always going to miss out. Smith Rowe has shown last season, as well as being a regular starter and thriving, that he can be an impact off the bench, that he can be a good rotation player. I don't need to tell you about the last few seasons where we've had no European football, where we had Europa League or back in the champs. There's a lot of games. There's going to need to be more flexibility next season from Mikel Arteta. And Smith Rowe's got the ability. Again, I don't think you should forget the past, but it's not about the past, it's about the present. And, you know, since he's been injured from August, Martinelli's taking his chances, Trossard has done well, the team has been developing. It's not quite the same landscape as when Smith Rowe emerged into the team, where we weren't good. Let's be honest, we weren't good. There's obviously going to be more chances. Arsenal gave him a new deal, so if he is going to leave, there's going to be top money. He is an England international. There needs to be a sell-on clause. But this is how seasons work. You know, you're not going to play week in, week out all the time, especially if the team largely is doing the job. Now, there has been times where I haven't quite understood Arteta's reluctance to blood Smith Rowe in or utilize him a bit more. But I believe this guy can be part of our team as a 10, as an 8, and as an off the left long term. But it is what it is in that regards. It's a big club. You're going to have great seasons. You're going to have bad seasons. You look at City to, you know, almost forgot the point. Again, there's always someone struggling for game time. Phil Foden, Mahrez, Bernardo. There's always a player that is struggling for game time that I'm sure is linked with a move away. It comes with it. Give Arteta a headache and show why you deserve to be in the starting 11. And Arteta knows your qualities. But I do think at times fans were not afforded the luxury of seeing everything. And I don't think Arteta is 100% convinced in everything Emile Smith is doing, whether that's in training or whatever, to be throwing him in the team. There's got to be a reason Fabio Vieira is ahead of him at the moment. Another person who probably joined Arsenal at the wrong time, really. At the right time and the wrong time. The right time because we're moving forward as a club. The wrong time because you've got Xhaka playing well largely all season. Odegaard the same. The left-hand side, you're not touching it. Play off the right-hand side to get minutes. You're a wide playmaker, not a winger like Saka, and don't impact the game like Saka. So I hope Smith Rowe can get a clean run with injuries. Maybe we're reluctant to use him because of his setbacks with injuries, but he's been fit since January. And if you're on the bench continuously, which I have to assume you've been fit for a number of weeks now, that has to assume you are an option and can be utilised. But I'm not privy to all information. Arsenal are maintaining a watching brief on Crystal Palace defender Gurhi. Arsenal want a centre-back amid concerns over William Saliba's long-term fitness. They've also checked in on Dynamo Zagreb's Josip Solato last week. Apparently, Rafinha is up for sale, people. Barcelona are willing to sell Rafinha this summer, and Arsenal see his sudden availability as an opportunity too good to turn down. Now, we're always going to get linked with him as he's going through teething problems at Barcelona, but they'd be making a loss, people. But allegedly, Barca need to sell players, whether they're going to bring in, Lionel Messi or just do what they're doing. Rafinha is one of many players they're willing to sell and would be happy to accept a fee between 50 to 60 million. Now, is he worth it? Yes or no? I'll leave that to you. Don't forget to smash the like button, like, comment, and subscribe. Now, we did see some rumours earlier last week that Xhaka is available for the right price from Arsenal. This article has said Arsenal will not consider an exit for Granit Xhaka this summer, people. Apparently, he's considered untouchable by Mikel Arteta. So a valued player and ever-present and whatnot. But I do think he needs competition in that 8 row. And I do think we need a curtain raiser in that 8 row where Xhaka plays. So we'll have to see. We all know he's a key player under Mikel Arteta. And for it to be fair, for recent rumours that he was set to depart, there was also rumours he was going to get a new deal, people. If anything, a new contract for Xhaka, whose current deal expires in 2024, is looking likelier after Saka, William Saliba, and Ramsdale put pen to paper. If Xhaka says, I want to leave, then I think he will. But you've come a long way since the early days of your Arsenal career. You're adored by Mikel Arteta. The fans got a lot of time for you. You're one of the most consistent and vital players for us at this moment in time. We're going to be back in the Champions League next season. He's got a family to consider, and I assume they're comfortable with life in London, his wife and his 2 kids. Anything can happen. A football career is short. Who knows what the manager will say? Who knows how the dynamics will shift from now until the start of next season, but you'd imagine he stays. And also, you've got to remember there's a Euros, people, which I expect. I don't even know. I expect Switzerland to qualify for if they haven't already. In the same way of leaving a club can boost your chances, you cannot underestimate stability. And that's why maybe a couple of players, especially the European-based players who are linked with moves away, might stay. You look at Lavia now, the only thing that's going to force Lavia's hand is if and when Southampton get relegated. But should Southampton beat the drop, I'm not saying to not leave and move on. But is it what does it, the big moves will always come for Lavia. It makes sense to leave, but do you have to leave Southampton right now? Because you could go to another club. Obviously, the variety of dynamic shift. Southampton are playing you week in, week out. You know how the club is run, even though there's been a couple of managers and it's very turbulent. You stay, you build up blocks. Not that you can't be disrespectful to Southampton, their coaching staff, or their fans, but the expectations on how you play at Southampton would be completely different to Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, or Liverpool, any of the teams linked with him. So we'll have to see where Granit Xhaka is concerned and Lavia. Had we have got Raphinha and Mudryk, I wonder what the landscape would have looked like. To be honest, I wonder what our team would look like had we have got Mudryk, Raphinha, Douglas Luiz, etc. Because in many ways, definitely with the two wingers I named, it looks like we've dodged a bullet. But at the same time, just because Mudryk is not thriving at Chelsea right now doesn't mean he wouldn't have hit the ground running at Arsenal. Everything is going bad for Chelsea. Everybody's playing poorly. Everyone seems to be playing well for the large part this season at Arsenal. I do think Mudryk has talent. I do think next season we'll see a better Mudryk, but I hope not, because he snaked us. But Arsenal staff were absolutely convinced outstanding player was going to sign for them in January. So let's learn from this like we did. He didn't sign for us. We went and got Trossard. Maybe, we'll look back and think, what if with Mudryk? But, we're doing all right. And to be honest, with the improved relations with transfer sales between Arsenal and Chelsea, maybe Mudryk is purposely playing rubbish so that he runs down his feet. He said he's going to get a move to Arsenal or play under Arteta somehow, some way. So we'll have to see. But for what it's worth, banter aside, Arsenal were convinced by Mudryk's talent, and they were equally convinced that the winger wanted to join them. Well, clearly, we wanted to spend 70-odd million. Arsenal thought they had a great chance of agreeing a fee to sign the outstanding Mudryk in January, and Trossard probably could have went Spurs. They didn't anticipate Chelsea's aggressive transfer policy, and Chelsea's bad news for everyone, really. But what I would say, young players with potential to be better, household names in the Prem. You look at half of the players Arsenal are linked with: Lavia, Zubamendi, Onana, Caicedo, Declan Rice. They're all everybody's wanted by everyone, really. So we're gonna have to get comfortable with it. Have our alternatives, go all the way to get our A targets, but make sure we can move on, really and truly. We've also been linked with Ajax's Ransk. I can't pronounce his name. First report said Arsenal and Brighton. The Daily Sport has said Brighton. Two other Premier League sides. So I assume that means Brighton, Liverpool, and Arsenal are all looking at the 20-year-old Ajax Academy prospect, people. He can play in every position across the back line. So that's something that could be useful to the squad with Tomiyasu. But if you do look at his numbers, as we've covered before, right back seems to be his exclusive position. So we'll have to see. It looks like a couple of players could leave Ajax. Timber could leave, who looks to be going Man United. So we'll have to see how these things develop. Please let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Please hit the comment section, people, with your comments. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, because it's Arsenal Chelsea later today. We kick off at 8 p.m. I'll be live from 7 p.m. to watch it with you. I hope you lot have enjoyed the little roundup I've done of the news. Please subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you're following on Twitch. Most importantly, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you lot soon.
There's always just that active red line defenders.
I think it's like